Hello, this is Katie from Crafting Ruby Dreams, and welcome back to my channel where I talk about planners, goal setting, writing, publishing, and getting right with my finances. Today's video is about planning for conferences. And I bet you're going, excuse me, what? We are not going anywhere right now. I hope that is the case. This is the thing. Planning for conferences gets me excited because I have a number 9 CliftonStrengths of futuristic. So if you're all familiar with CliftonStrengths, somebody who has high futuristic gets really excited about looking towards the future. And so I get energy from thinking about the future. So planning for conferences that I want to go to when we are able to safely go somewhere in person makes me so excited. The other thing is, it just makes me excited about going somewhere again where I can see people, because that is something that is important to me and I want to do so safely. And here's the final reason for why you should be thinking and planning for going to a conference now. Money. You're going to need money. And if you start planning now for at least a general amount, you're going to have that money when you need it to start paying for things to go to the conference. That's the why you should start planning now. Here's how to do it. Number 1, research. You need to do your research. Start with researching the conference. If it's important to you, you want to research the reputation of the conference and see who is involved in putting the conference on, who the speakers are, if there's anybody in particular that you want to see and possibly meet, but definitely learn from. Who are the types of attendees who are going? So if it's important for you to feel comfortable in a space, you need to see what the likely mix of people who are going to be there are. And then research the location. And by this, I mean both the location of the conference itself. So where is it being held? Is it being held in a hotel, in a number of hotels, in a convention center, or for very large conferences like the American Library Association conference, which I have attended a number of times. They have the conference in the convention center of the city where it's at, plus a number of the official conference hotels, because they are that big of a conference, and the number of meetings and educational events that are happening, they need all of that space. So if mobility is an issue for you and it's a spread out conference, that is something to take into consideration. And the other location that I think you should be researching are the city and country of the conference. How easy is it going to be to get there from where you are located? Do you need anything special to get there, such as if you're going from your home country to a different country, do you need things like visas in order to get into the country? And as I mentioned earlier, are there going to be any mobility issues for you or those who are traveling with you? And a lot of other things that are going to be specific to you in your experiences and what is going to make you feel comfortable being in a particular space. The number 2 reason to plan is your budget, because there are a lot of different things that are going to go into creating a budget for your trip. And the number 1 thing is, what is the registration cost? What is included in the registration cost? Is the registration cost just that you have admittance to the conference and any specific sessions and events that may be being held? Maybe there are certain events that have an additional cost. Maybe there's sometimes meals included that you don't have to pay for, and so then you don't have to account for those as part of the food portion of your budget. So research, what does the registration cost cover? The next thing to look into for your budget is housing. Do you want to stay at the main conference hotel because you don't want to have to mess around with traveling to and from the location of the conference? Sometimes for big conferences, again, using the example of the American Library Association, The hotel that you're going to be staying in, even if it's the main conference hotel, is not necessarily where the bulk of the conference events are going to be held. The last time it was in Chicago, I believe that the conference hotel was attached to the convention center, well, one of the conference hotels. So that made it a little easier, but was still some traveling involved. I once was at a conference in Las Vegas where the main event space was a good half-mile away from the hotel space, and they were connected and considered part of the same property. But they were literally about a half-mile apart. So it took a good 20 minutes, if not half an hour, from leaving my hotel room to get to the event space. So if cost is a concern for you and you don't necessarily want to get roommates for housing, what are the nearby hotels or accommodations that you can stay at that are within what you consider a reasonable distance, but are also within your budget? But also consider getting roommates if you are okay with that, and research. This goes back to who else is going to be at the conference. So figure out what accommodations you need to make within your budget in order to make it affordable for you. I'm going to say one more thing about roommates. Some conferences, in my experience, and this is not all conferences, but the ones I have tended to go to, will sometimes have roommate matching, some kind of programs, whether you're all in some kind of group, such as a Facebook group or an email list that is specifically for finding roommates. What are they doing in order to make finding a roommate easier, if that is a consideration for you? Kind of talked about this reason to plan your budget when I was talking about doing the research, and that is the travel aspect. How much are you going to have to lay out for travel? Are you going to be able to drive to the location? So then you have to factor in the cost of gas and any maintenance and parking at the location. Or are you going to be able to fly, but then you have to take into consideration ground transportation, both to and from the airport that you are flying out of and the conference city airport. Are you taking the train? Maybe that's an option for you. If you A, don't want to drive, and B, don't want to fly, can you take the train there from where you are located? And then for all of that, you have to factor in the cost of luggage, especially if there are limits, such as with the train and with flying. How much are you going to have to pay in order to ship things, more likely from the hotel to your home, because you've just picked up so much stuff that you can't fit into your suitcases? So factor that into your budget as well. You also need to consider food. As I mentioned with the registration, how many meals, if any, does the registration cover? And then how many meals are you going to need to feed yourself while you are at the conference? So do you eat breakfast every day, or can you pack something like Luna bars or a protein bar where that's your breakfast in the course of the day? I recommend having protein bars on you anyway, so you can have a quick pickup snack along with a water bottle, because you need to stay hydrated if nothing else, especially in conference hotels, because they will suck you dry. But also having something like a protein bar, apples, some kind of nutritious snack to keep your energy level up. And then, are you just going to be tacking on vacation onto either end of the conference? Here's an example. I have always wanted to go to San Francisco. Every time I try to go to San Francisco, especially if it's conference related, something happens. So I should probably never try to go to a conference in San Francisco again, but that's a whole other matter. But if you want to have a vacation and explore the city where the conference is being held, do you want to take extra vacation time either before or after the length of the conference? Maybe both even. because say you hang out with your friends prior to the conference, you do the conference, and then after the conference, your family comes out. If you've got enough flexibility with your leave time, if that's a consideration for you. So you have to pay for housing, you have to pay for food, maybe you have to pay a higher price for your flights. If you're driving, you have to pay more in parking. Take into consideration all of the extra costs of doing vacation and fold that into your budget. Maybe you have to have 2 separate budgets for business purposes, for the conference and then for the vacation, but you are still having to find a way to pay for all of that. So you need to take it into account. Is this a conference where you need to update your clothes? You need to get comfortable shoes again? This might be a consideration coming out of pandemic, where a lot of us have been dressing in jeans and t-shirts every day. You can see my top, you can't see my bottom, but I'm wearing jeans. So I've been living in jeans and a t-shirt every day. Even going to conferences, I would wear jeans, but I would wear a nice top. I don't have a whole lot of nice tops left. I've been kind of weeding those out. So I need to refresh my wardrobe. So I need to take into account getting fresh clothes. I'm going to need comfortable shoes again, because it has been a while since I've bought comfortable shoes, and the shoes that I have, I've been kind of wearing them out. So I'm going to have to refresh my shoes and my clothes for my first post-pandemic conference, and probably multiple ones. So put that in mind. Maybe not have it a specific line of your conference budget, but take that into account and do what you need to do to put that into your head. The third portion of planning for conferences in the future, post-pandemic, is what are your goals going to be? And I recommend this for any conference you attend. I used to talk about this all the time to first-time conference attendees for a conference I had attended for well over a decade. But I recommend having both overall goals for the conference as well as daily goals, because those are going to help you make your decisions, because you are going to be constantly faced with decisions during a conference. Do I go to this session? Do I go to that session? Do I have lunch with this person and miss possibly seeing this person? And do I go for a nap? Because if I don't, I'm going to go cry in a corner. All of those are going to be decisions that you are faced with. You need to be able to have something to reduce the stress of that decision making in order to be able to last the entire conference. So figure out what your overall goals of the conference are. It could be as simple of, I'm having fun. That is my goal. That is the extent of my goal, is I want to have fun. So I'm going to pick the things that are going to be fun for me in the moment, or that are going to allow me to maximize the amount of fun that I can have. Your daily goals can be something of, you look at the schedule and you figure out your number one session that you want to attend, and that's the session you are going to do. If you do nothing else but attending that session during that day, you have won that day. Or it could be, I want to meet this person. I've been watching her on YouTube for the last year. I really love her personality. I want to meet her. And if you are ever at a conference, I want to meet you. So let me know. And I will keep you updated as to what conferences I am going to in the future. In fact, you know what? Tell me in the comments what conferences you are looking forward to going to once it is safe to do so. I have 2 conferences that I want to go to in person and check them out. Number 1 is a Strengths for Writers conference, so CliftonStrengths, that is held by my coaching group. Last year was the first one, and it was supposed to be held in Bozeman, Montana, and that didn't happen. We had a great virtual conference, and this year's conference is going to be virtual as well, but the moment can be in person and is held in Bozeman. I'm going. I want to go because I want to see Bozeman and I want to see these people in person and meet them in person. The other one I want to go to and check out is Wild the Wild for Planners conference. So go wild. That's it. I almost said Wild University, but I'm already doing Wild University. So I highly recommend identifying which conferences you want to go to and researching all of those, because again, if it's going to make you excited and help you get through this really rough time, do it. It's going to bring you moments of joy. And the other thing is that you can figure out what the potential budgets are for each one, and you're going to need those, because it may be that you cannot do all the conferences you want to do the first year you can do that. By prioritizing what your just general priorities are, whether it is to be mindful about your money or be close to home as things are needed, whatever it may be, those are going to help you make the decision about which conference to pick and to focus on. But research, for the time being, research all of them. Plan as if you were going to attend every single one the first year that you can safely do so. With related to goals, something that I don't see necessarily a whole lot of people talk about with regards to conferences, but it's something that I have noticed with regards to myself and with my friends, is the concept of both time management and energy management. So you want to be aware of the limited amount of time you actually have at the conference. So you want to prioritize what skills you want to learn, what people you want to meet, going back to what are your overall goals for the conference, because you're going to feel pressured during the conference to do all the things, and you have to be in tune with yourself to know what your energy levels are. Because if you get run down very easily, or if you are an introvert who you really truly have the energy sucked out of you really quickly, you want to be able to enjoy the time that you are present at the conference and be present, but at the same time taking the knowledge of yourself and putting it to its best use and giving yourself time away to refresh yourself, recharge yourself, and do what you need to do. I have one friend who, at the last conference that we attended, she actually didn't go to any of the sessions. I'm pretty sure she actually did register for the conference, but she didn't do anything. What she did was arrange for office hours with friends in her room. So you had a limited amount of time with her. She was able to manage how many people she saw in the course of the day, and she was able to make the most of her time there. So that is what you want to do. As I recently, like yesterday, said to another friend of mine, she was asking me about the possibility of attending a conference. And I said, because I know her well enough, I said, keep in mind, I turn into an Energizer bunny at conferences. And that's true. I get a ton of energy from interacting with new people, meeting new people, seeing old friends, and it just, you will see me going, like, from the time I wake up. I may be, again, 10 a.m. is when my brain kicks into gear. I was talking about this in the burnout video, that I'm not a morning person, but I will be up at whatever time I need to be up to be going at probably 8 a.m. for the first session, because I'm excited about meeting people. And I will be going until probably midnight, because I just want to soak it all up. And if you see me at a conference and you're wondering, what the heck is she high on? Maybe caffeine, possibly some Coke or Pepsi, whatever is being served at the conference hotel. But it may just be the fact that I'm meeting so many people that are new to me, or reconnecting with old friends who I haven't seen in a while. I am that just happy. I am so excited to meet you person. But I know myself from 20 plus years of attending conferences, and this is how conference attendance affects me personally and my energy levels. At the same time, I am also not afraid when it is like midday, mid-afternoon, and I recognize that I may need a nap or I just need to go close my eyes for 15, 30 minutes. I will go up to my room and do that. And that is one of the reasons why I personally prefer to stay at a conference hotel if the entire conference is being held in one hotel. With regards to the energy management, rest when you need to. And as I was saying earlier, make sure you are always carrying water with you and you have a snack with you so that you can manage your hydration and food energy intake levels. You need to be able to feed yourself when you need to feed and be as hydrated as possible, because as I said earlier, conference hotels will suck all of the water from you. So that's my advice on planning for attending conferences even when it is pandemic time, and the reasons why you should plan to attend a conference again. I hope you have found this useful. If you have, please hit that like button so that YouTube knows to recommend this video to others. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and the bell to be notified about when future videos are available. If you have any questions about attending conferences, please drop that in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me here today, and may all your dreams be ruby dreams. Bye-bye.